You know, it's too much to worry about. Just good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Jacksonville Tourism Development Authority monthly meeting. And Chairman Lazara has a previous commitment and is not able to attend, so I'll be conducting business this afternoon and want to welcome everybody. We have some nice smiling faces around the table ready to go to work, and we have some visitors with us, and thank you very much for being here. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as you have in front of you.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, the agenda has been adopted.
Need a vote.
Oh, we want to vote on that. Thank you, thank you. That's why we pay you the big bucks.
That's all right.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? And so the agenda is adopted. Now we move to the approval of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes?
No minutes this time, Mr. President.
There is no minutes.
There was-
Well, we haven't reviewed them then, have we? Okay. Well, we're moving right along. We might be out of here by 1:45. Okay, authority matters. We do have a presentation this afternoon, and we welcome Pat Walker to give us a rundown on the Vietnam Veterans Foundation presentation. Pat, take it away.
Thank you, Ken. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for giving us the time to be here today, and also for the support that you've already given Lejeune Memorial Gardens. Since the beginning, we've tried to keep you all well informed of what's going on out there and what's coming in the future. Today's no different. We are at last ready to begin the construction of a visitor center in the gardens. This is a much-needed asset, as people are always looking for a restroom. As you can tell from the map, the visitor center would be just to the right of our sidewalk going into the Vietnam Memorial. And the sidewalk curves, and there's a nice little area there that has a lot of natural foliage that we can keep and kind of set this building down in there so that it's definitely not an eyesore. But at the same time, when you walk into the building itself, you will be able to see the gardens behind it due to the glass walls. The other little highlighted building is a future amphitheater, which we're nowhere near ready to even discuss. The drawing of the building is rather simple, but I think it will explain. What you can see would be brick on either side, the glass entranceway, and the back would reflect the front, so that as you stand there and you're looking around the building, you can see the memorials behind it. It would be cleared enough. The little building is a storage building that would be not separate but attached, and what we want to put in there are golf carts. We want to put 2 golf carts because there are handicapped people that just cannot make the walk around the memorials. And if they come to see one, it's my opinion they should come to see all of them. We have a women's bath, a men's bathroom, the golf cart storage, and work storage. That work storage is kind of for me. Maybe I can get my closets at home back and put the flags and all the things that go along with the memorial in this building so other people can use them and they don't have to wait for us. Hopefully, our intentions are to use the center space for exhibits from any or all of the memorials that are out there. We collect many artifacts at the Vietnam Wall, and I think Houston is getting some left at the Montford Point. To me, these should all be displayed where people can see them. They need to know what's behind the stories of the names on the walls. The cost of this project complete is $375,000. We're hoping to make this a reality real quickly because summer's coming, and we get a lot of tourists that come just to see the Lejeune Memorial Gardens. It's highly visible, it's traveled, it's used oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many things it's used for, from retirements, promotions from the military, funerals, weddings. It's held out there. So this is something that we really want to push forward and get it started and get it finished as quick as we can. Inside the building, on one of the walls, our goal is to put a plaque with our diamond, platinum, and gold investors that help us build this, so you get the recognition that you so deserved. And I know there's going to be a lot of people who participated in the memorial that really should be out there what they've done. This will be kind of a dual purpose. It will reflect both. There was nowhere to put a plaque or anything at the actual memorial with this information, so this will be a good place to put it. So what we're asking today is, and I'm going before the city, and I'm going before several banks in the city, but we're asking for $100,000 to help us with this project. And if anybody has any questions, I'll try to answer them. If not, I'll get you an answer.
Okay, thank you for that presentation. What is the square footage of that? Do you know offhand?
The square footage is 2,000 square foot.
Okay. That includes the
That includes all of it.
everything. Okay. All right. Members, comments, questions?
Who would be responsible for utilities ongoing?
The base.
The base. Okay.
How far along are you with the base signing off on this?
The base has approved it.
They have approved it.
They are all on board.
So giant hurdle number one has been,
It has been hurdled.
okay?
And the reason the Lejeune Memorial Garden Foundation, or the Vietnam Memorial Foundation, is behind this, at the moment, we are the only ones that have an active, valid license to build out there. Our license is good until the end of 2018, and we also have a 5-year approval standing by.
Okay.
What group is that?
Onslow Vietnam Veterans Memorial. We did the memorial. It's been a foundation since 1998.
Okay.
If I may add to that,
Yes, sir.
and Malcolm Point has already signed on to help with the project as well.
Oh, great. All right, thank you for all of that information, Pat. We are, the board is in the process of kind of reworking their budget because of the shift of the monies. And so we will be looking at future projects and all projects. We are not in a position at this time to make a commitment.
Understand.
We will take that to the appropriate people and let's see what we can work out. Now, the 100,000 you're asking from the tax authority, and that would be, the expectation from you would be over what period of time?
Hopefully a year, with the idea in mind that it'd be used only for brick and mortar. It would not be used for any other venture other than the actual building.
Well, that would pretty much be, yeah, the board's position, I'm pretty sure on that, because brick and mortar is what we want to stay with, and that's what we've done in the past. So unless there's members who have changed their position, that's probably. Okay, well, thank you very much for this presentation. Again, that's a wonderful site for the community, and this board has supported major projects out there, as everybody knows, and we'll certainly take a real strong look at this one as well. So not only thank you for this project, but thank you for everything that you do in the community, and congratulations on a much-deserved award for you and your husband.
And that was quite a surprise from Montford Point.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, Strategic work of the authority, Jazz in the City. I'm sure some of you attended. Unfortunately, I was out of town. Glenn?
Well, indeed, it was a wonderful event, and we have a short video we'd like to show you now.
So I can tell you that as far as the event goes, it was truly successful. The event planners have come a long way from the first year, and we didn't. I noticed we don't have any footage of Friday night. Friday night was big growth for them. We had they put together an amateur night competition and gave away $1,000 winner take all. And they had they had a contestant from Raleigh, they had Greenville and Rocky Mount area all over the market. There were 11 people total. The crowd, they had to bring in extra chairs for the crowd on that night and on Saturday night. Both of them were sold out. So this is the first year we did a little website work, and they sold tickets online for the first time. And they were all impressed that they sold 60 tickets right out of the gate online. Of course, I got a call on Saturday morning before the event that said, "Oh my gosh, we're sold out for Saturday night." So we quickly changed gears and put all the marketing toward Friday night to build that crowd, and it worked really well. I think they ended up with a total of 50 hotel rooms, which is about a 30% increase for them over the last couple years. So it's got potential, further potential, and we're already talking about some things that can happen for next year to help grow that more. So it was a really well put together event.
Fantastic. And I know we have pretty much had a turnover of the board since we started this project. And Glenn, this, in fact, was one of our incubator projects at the very beginning.
That is correct, sir.
And we had anticipated that if we incubated projects, that they would become successful. And this apparently is turning out to be just that. So fantastic.
Well, I will say this too. If we had, I know you're tired of the beating of the drum, but if we had a bigger venue, they probably would have sold 150 more tickets easily to that event. They were getting calls from Raleigh, people that wanted to come and stay on Saturday night and spend the night for the event. So, but they had to turn them down.
I believe there's a bigger venue being constructed as we speak down the road.
Happy to hear it.
Well, thank you for the presentation, and it appears that it was a successful event. We need to continue to grow it because it does have a lot of potential, All right, report on the Extreme Endurance Challenge.
We also want to call into your attention into your agenda. You have a report on the Jazz in the City on this Extreme Endurance Challenge. And we just bring forward to you a couple of little notes there. It is 47% of those that participated came from more than 100 miles. 880 room nights have been generated thus far with the Grand Prix Series. And of course, there's two major races to go thus far this year. So we're anticipating they'll make that 1,200 number of hotel rooms for the year as it was. And if I might just pass the baton now to Lorette and let her talk about the Engaged Onslow.
Right, well, that was just this past weekend, but still, I did have an opportunity to talk with some of our vendors. And again, this event is different from anything else you fund because the results of this you may not see until 2019, 2020. because these brides are planning. But while I was at the festival, I talked to some of our vendors to see how the 2017 show had helped them. I know the Courtyard by Marriott, they had booked 3 wedding receptions, and in addition to the income from renting that meeting room, they generated about 60 overnight stays. The Hilton Garden Inn, even though it wasn't open, they still managed to get 2 weddings, and they opened just in time to get those weddings in, and had 20 overnight stays with it. I bet that was a happy bride. And then I just got the opportunity to talk to Chris and asked him their results from last year, and he said between the Fairfield and the Home to Suites, they probably booked at least 5 weddings, and what he liked, the room nights were during the shoulder season. So we are generating the overnight stays on that. A couple other things that I found interesting, because we care about all the businesses. Yes, our hotel rooms first, but Golden Corral booked 9 receptions. They did food for 9 receptions. The Pampered Chef woman booked 3 home shows. Excel Limo Service, they picked up 10 weddings. They provided transportation for 10 different weddings. And of note on that, and kudos to Teresa, what she said, that some of the ones that they got the weddings from, they didn't come to the expo, but they heard the advertisements either on the radio or TV, and that's how they found out about the limo service. So that is an extra value to us. Crystal Coast and Tent, they booked 2 weddings. And already for the show that just happened last week, there were 6 overnight stays at the Hilton Garden Inns by some of the vendors. With the venue tours, we know that 1 wedding has already been booked at the Jacksonville Country Club. We have a photographer. She booked a wedding that day. And then our friends over across the county line at River Landing reported to me they were very impressed. It was their first year, and they've got 15 good leads from the expo.
And if we could, we've got a little video we want to just show, and then you can come out and talk a little bit about the fashion show.
Okay. And for the record, Pat was not getting married. She was there with her granddaughter.
She can't get rid of you?
I'm not trading at this point.
I heard that at this point.
So we still feel good about this event. Some of the vendors did note that we had less brides than they've seen in the past. Couple of things there. It was a 96 on base because of President's Day. That was not the first date we picked, but because of the constraints with the venue we were using, that was the only date that was available to us. Now, we have already booked it for next year, and that will be
March 8th and 9th.
March 8th and 9th, so getting back on where we feel it is a better. But I will say, and that we had very few people that were there and paid their admission just to go through and eat their $12 worth. We had true brides there that were there for the right reasons, so we felt very good about the caliber of the brides. And anything that you two want to add?
I believe the price end of the bride, while we had less, was higher this year.
And I'd like to add kudos to Lisa, bless her heart, for being thrown into this among all the other things she's doing. But the vendors that were there, they were different this year than last year. And there were some really unique vendors that made you kind of think they were outside of the box. So the vendors that I talked to were very happy and glad to be a part of it and acted like they certainly would be back next year. So great job.
Well, Lorette, the part of your presentation that I really liked was the fact that you touched on other people receiving benefits from the occupancy tax. I mean, that's something that we kind of overlook sometimes. The occupancy tax is one thing, and that's the hotels, but look, they got to eat somewhere. They've got to fill up their tanks somewhere. So there's an off-spin here, I think, that sometimes gets overlooked, and it really shouldn't be overlooked. It ought to be, we ought to be penciling that right in there as to things that are going on, and that's the spinoff from this. So good job. Thank you. Okay, any questions for any members? Okay. Engaged Onslow.
All right, and sir, if I might, then the next thing is to look at those upcoming dates that are there, just so that you know. Going far out to the matter is August 18th, Jacksonville Jazz Festival. They're still working on some logistic issues with that, and we don't have a venue for you to report on that matter there. And of course, Nick Branger is here from Recreation, and they have the Jacksonville's Jamboree locked in. Is that the right date then? It's the 5th, okay.
4th, 5th, and it's all weekend.
Yes, it's the big one's the 5th there. So, and of course, the Marine Raiders and the St. Patty's Engineers Challenge, they are big races that will produce some significant overnight stays as a part of that. The Beat the Bridges, this is our first time fully engaged in that. This is the Semper Fi Fund, and it has been obviously a very interesting association, and they want to add to it for next time over and under the bridge. As part of their project as it is. So they're just trying to get the national to buy into what the local folks want to do on that matter.
I think they're understanding it. I can say I've been a part of a lot of conversations from the marketing perspective and help them understand our relationship. And that event's got some big potential for the community, for tourism as well.
And its timing as a spring type event is really, out there.
That's a good one.
Excuse me. If I might, Mr. Chairman, I'll just go right on into the background changes in the future there. If you recall that at the last meeting, basically, the chair and you had talked about having a special meeting to discuss some of the issues with the Tourism Promotion Fund. And if we might reflect back that the current year funding is set at $296,500 for the 14 projects that are before you, of which you have heard 3 of them described today and having been accomplished. And just to look at the potential room nights, it's nearly 3,000 room nights as a result of this. Obviously, a big contributor is obviously the Grand Prix Series, but you can see there's some significant other potential and actual contributors to this from what is been projected for the year. So we reflected on what you folks had told us to do for the current year funding at this time last year, is when you allowed us to go out and seek additional applications to do things worth. And again, just to hit the highlights of that, it was to be that they had to be the direct generators of overnight stays in Jacksonville lodging facilities. They had to be sustainable and repeatable, or be one time that was rather momentous, and then be fiscally sound with funding secured for the activity operation, because your money was only going to be used for marketing. And they had to demonstrate the benefit for marketing that it would, outside the region, would provide something of those overnight stays, candidly speaking. And obviously that we wanted to associate with organizations and activities that would reflect positively on Jacksonville and as a caring community, and following our theme of receive a hero's welcome for our visitors. So we got that, and again, it's only for marketing only, and the event window that we've agreed upon for what we're going out in funding now is September 1st through August 31st. And while that's outside of our fiscal year, our conversation is that we have to promote things in advance. You can't just wait till the July 1st date and start promoting something that's going to be July 4th. It just does not work. And so that we also mentioned to you that not all awarded funds will or have been spent. And the current allocation, though, if we don't make a change, it's exceeding what you have is your unassisted portion for promotion allocation. That's the 1/3 money. So you already are at the limit of what that is, and we're using fund balance to obviously balance the budget at this time. So you wanted to look at what to be done. There have been benefits from the promotion fund itself. I mean, not that you're mentioning cutting this out, but the impact of that is definitely affected, as has been demonstrated here today in the testimony that's been given by others. And there's some benefit from having professional assistance to some of these programs that would not have had it otherwise in the marketing that's provided there. There is an impact to the staff. It's something, but it's offset by, the fact that there's such a benefit. And some events have less tourism impact than others. And that's where we kind of see the separation starting to occur on this as it was. But we have had many people that have wanted to see improvements and have taken steps toward that. And some events provide tourism promotion. That is to say, but the mere fact that we have some types of events, the photography, the video, the testimony, the visitation that comes to it has another benefit, much as the vice chair has mentioned about impact of sales tax and things like that. But otherwise, it also gives us some visual material that we use in promoting your community because it gives that sense of community. It gives that's a place I want to go and visit and such there. And we have created some extraordinarily valuable partnerships with some organizations that would not have been created without the Tourism Promotion Fund. Now, the consideration that we advanced to you was that, you should consider funding programs that have demonstrated overnight stay generation and/or that you reward programs that have demonstrated growth potential, that those that have been following advice and seeing substantive growth out there, that you would do something. And so in a conversation with the chair, he's advanced that we just take the funding pool and change that to $150,000. And of course, as mentioned, you funded nearly $300,000 in direct allocation to marketing for the 14 events that are there. And limit the pool for consideration for F-19 projects to those which you are currently associated with now. And leave aside a reserve should there be some sort of special project or something, you would have that available to deal with at that time as it is. And then you folks would get some guidance, but the authority approves the awards. I mean, it's not the staff that does that. It's not the panel. It's not any of those things. You folks make those awards. And one of the conditions that's being advanced is to require a set aside from the profits that's equal to 1/2 of what you awarded for marketing money. If we gave you $10,000 and you made some money, then you would take that $5,000 and set it aside for marketing that would be used for FY20 events, and that if they did that the authority would reward them, subject to funding available, you would give them the other half. So they'd be made whole of what the marketing was that was set at the FY19 level as it was. And that would give some incentive to also show those that are producing profits and are doing some things like that to do some things like that. Now, there's always, some devil in the details, so to speak, and this is not a project that's ready to say, raise your hand and here's all the rules, but what we're going to ask for is some guidance. But there can be some special provisions for events that, maybe don't produce profits per se. And that one thing that we would suggest is to say there is no funding past FY20 guaranteed at all. So we're upfront with saying the authority must make changes, and consequently, as a part of this, that no funding for Tourism Promotion Fund would be guaranteed past FY20. So that's the proposal. We have outlined that on page 15 for you with a slightly more detail, but not much more. And, and this is available for the authority for discussion. You don't have to make a decision today. But obviously, the staff would appreciate that we're getting, the county is taking applications for projects. This would be the time that we normally take application for projects. We collaborate well. The woman over in pink, that helps with the county projects as it is too, so to make sure that the funding goes to things that, we can complement each other on. And the other is that obviously we get close to those projects that are September 1st of getting within the window of needing to plan some promotional activities. We're not quite there yet, but the later we go, the more pressure there is to prepare a marketing plan and to execute that marketing plan for events that would be in September.
Thank you, Glenn. I think you've laid out a good path for us to look at. And we knew that once that flipped occurred, there would be some major changes for these kinds of events. And we've got to do it. We've got to start. And as you pointed out, we need to have something in place before September. We ought to have it in place, maybe July or?
Well, we would normally take applications now.
Now, okay.
And then
So
we would have time to get the panel assembled, and then we would bring them to you in April. So that would be our normal pattern that we would do.
Well, what is your pleasure, committee members?
I think for the sake of keeping the continuity going, you need to go ahead and decide that that's the plan. So the one half, did anybody think of just taking everybody's figure and cutting it in half?
We don't think that'd exactly be fair. And
Okay.
the thought is that the marketing needs for some are so precise or something that it might be that you could actually go further than a half, to be candid with you. And on some, there's some nuts there that you're not going to reduce if you do an effective job. So we're saying that while we're cutting the amount of pool down, we don't think we're going to spend all of the money in the pool. And there's some who can take some cuts that are far deeper than even 50%.
Like 100% or?
Well, we don't know about that, but
We don't know.
there may be some people,
I don't know, that's a figure. But
it's a
anyway.
figure. Yes, sir.
And I'm just curious, how many different entities, I mean, some of these are these like, I mean, I understand Onslow Community Ministries, I understand the chamber, but like Jazz, what is the entity that's
I always get the
functioning there?
name of the fraternity wrong.
Oh, okay. Is it-
Omega Psi Phi.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. And so
Thank you, Houston.
it's not just like a group of friends that started a
No,
committee or anything
no.
like that?
They're friendly though, but
But they have an ongoing
yes.
established
Yes.
entity of some type.
Yeah.
I'll be frank, I'm quite skeptical of the money flowing in reverse from the entity to the,
Now remember,
Okay, that-
we don't pay any money
right.
to any entity. We
Right, I
pay money
understand that.
only to the marketing end of it.
But what you
And
talked about earlier was them contributing to the promotion via
That's correct.
this
Yes.
organization.
Yes.
And
And that
If they-
sends a message too, that you folks, you don't want to leave them abandoned, but those who can contribute to their future and marketing efforts. And, not every community funds events and festivals. And so, but we had because we could. And we clearly have benefited from having done so on that matter. And so the idea of saying, this is a way of saying, we got you here, hopefully we've increased your revenue, and that you can share in some of that revenue with contributing to marketing yourself.
Glenn, just sitting on this side of this plan, which I think's a good idea. I think these events, there are some areas where if you didn't have the, for lack of a better word, the public funding, they wouldn't be able to put on the event. That's not good. That's not good. But my question is, if the Engaged Onslow does a $5,000 set aside and we get $5,000, does the marketing group get control of the $5,000 that I put in, or do I get a say in how that money is spent?
Well, we have not answered that question yet.
Okay, I think that's going to be an
yeah.
important question.
Yeah, I think that was one where if they see the benefit of the funding, that's a marketing plan has been developed and it's been adopted, as long as they're following a marketing plan, I think we kind of go from there.
Okay.
And just work together, I guess, on the two if they weren't with.
Because all of a sudden now, the entity that's having the event, they're the ones now paying the bills, right?
It conceivably could pay 50% of them in FY20.
Well, they have more, they have
In
more
FY20.
equity in it. They have more
So
equity.
just
And I-
something to think about that I think is going to come up as you
And
go
would
through this
probably
process.
want to require them to show that marketing plan.
Absolutely.
And part of that, because you don't know where the money really
Well, you don't want to do the same
is
thing.
going to, right?
Well, it goes back to accountability, and from day one, we've always said we want to show accountability for putting people in the hotels, because that's where this tax comes from. We wanted to see some leadership in the organization and being able to put the event on. So there's layers that have to be met here. I'm quite honestly, I think they've done a good job of providing some of the layers. John?
I had a question on the Grand Prix series. That is a money-making series for MCCS? Is that a yes or no is the answer?
Well, I mean, that's like asking, does Recreation pay the bills
Well,
for
that's
City
where
of
I was going,
Jacksonville?
because
It's the
that-
same concept.
Well, that 40,000, which is the largest benefactor, that money, as I understand it, is being spent on something they cannot spend their money on.
That is correct.
So even if they are a moneymaker and they made 20,000
They can't
plus,
spend it
They can't
outside.
spend it. So there's a lot of wrinkles here that the board needs to be aware of with these different entities. That's all I'd point out.
Thank you, John.
But the idea here is that if you give us this kind of guidance, those kind of things can be worked out. The panel can help, massage some of these things in such a way that we can bring the authority something that meets that number that you want to meet.
Input anywhere else?
I think overall it's obviously there are details that need to be worked out, but I think overall it's a great concept. I mean, to work toward that self-sustainability, growing it to the point that, they're able to do so. And then as a community to say, we'll help you start that. We'll help you start that path. So I think overall it's a great concept. I mean, there are certainly other markets that have done the same thing. Virginia Highlands Festival in Abingdon, Virginia is now a week-long festival that draws 275,000 to 300,000 people during that week. I mean, but it grew to that point to where it is self-sustainable now.
Yeah.
Music, Rhythm and Roots became a huge weekend festival that benefits that community in one weekend almost, like a NASCAR event. Hotels, restaurants, I mean, everything within that community. I think it's a great concept.
Glenn, I guess in the direction you've heard some concerns, so we need to challenge the staff to give us some written information on those concerns and any others that might be uncovered as we go through this. You also have asked for instructions to open applications. I think we ought to open them. Let's see what we've got. The people that are already on the list need to resubmit or submit their applications. So we need to move the process along. So unless somebody objects, I would say the staff let's open up.
But you
the
are saying
application.
to limit what we consider to those people that are among the 14 on the list.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, and you'll need to get them information.
Well, one of the concepts that could be had is instead of us requiring the type of application that we apply now, is that we just meet with them, the panel meets with them and has this conversation about what it is. The marketing plan obviously is going to play an important part of it. And then there are after action reports that detail how many hotel rooms have come in, what needs to be changed for the next year, and kind of go from that as it was, more so than, taking an application, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to let them know the changes that are about to happen.
Yeah. I think they most know.
Well, I'd feel uncomfortable if everybody didn't know, though. So I think your direction needs to be in that. And let's move it ahead and bring us some more information.
And you are correct. We don't have all the answers to this, and it would be probably, from a perspective that would be clean and neat, just to cut everybody in half. But I don't think you're doing fair to an organization that might be in a growth mode, and not funded at a level that you say, okay, now I can see it continue to grow, rather than some sort of funding that might, by the mere cut something in half, only provides a little bit of promotion to it. So,
Well, in your meetings with the folks, you need to emphasize that if they need a lot of promotion for their event, we're going to supply a certain portion. The more they supply, the more goes into the media. So, the promotion.
And toward Lorette's question, now thinking more completely about it too, is that it may even be that some organizations benefit more from our professional associations that we have a professional marketer, that we have people who can help them create alliances, that may end up being more of a benefit to certain people on the group, that our professional services provide that more so than just spending the money on marketing.
Right, right.
And that would be something that doesn't cost you any more money. Now, I want to make sure we're clear. What we're talking about cutting in half is the awards actually awarded.
Yes.
The fund actually has some other money in there. You remember one of the concepts when this began is that if we gave somebody $10,000, we didn't want them to have only, $8,500 because they were having to pay commissions on that or something, that we pay the commission cost and things of that nature. So that money, so their whole of $10,000 when it's being actually promoted. So we will bring you as part of your budget document now, what all those other things are from there.
Well, since
But
we
they'll
have.
clearly reduce is what will be said.
Yes, and since we have so many new members, I think it's beneficial for them to see the financial part of what's in our kitty.
Right.
Because we not only need to put a plan together for the coming year, we need to look a few years down the road, since we're going to be limited with the pink and blue money. I think these folks need to see the actual figures so they can make some determinations also. So I would suggest that we get provided that information also. Any other questions for Glenn?
I just also have this proposal of having them match, like some guidelines, I guess, to the future. But if they can't match, are you going to give them the other half anyway, or is it a do or die situation?
Well, that's an authority decision, obviously.
Well,
And that would be for FY20.
Right.
Yeah, so we will have time to consider that as it was.
But it just seems like you'd want something uniform, that everybody, was
Yeah.
treated the same. But
Well,
have a
remember,
washout.
the authority is the one that gives out the money.
Right.
People request it,
Right.
but we're the actual ones that fund it. So if it doesn't meet whatever criteria we wind up approving,
And for FY20, you may decide this is not something you can do. Laurette mentioned something, one year Oktoberfest couldn't operate. There was a storm, one of those alphabetical storms that come to us in the fall, came by and they had to cancel. So clearly there was no profit. They probably went in the hole a little bit there on the situation. So, what would happen on that? So, that's why I think you folks are human. You're going to have to evaluate what happens here. We're going to give you a framework here to work from.
well, that's a good point though, Glenn. So put a sentence in there for taking care of that. All right, thank you very much for that report. Do you have enough direction to proceed?
Yes, sir.
All right, then proceed.
We will proceed.
Okay, reunion work. Lisa, you're with us today, so we'll let you give us a report.
Krista and I left on Sunday morning, and we went down to Myrtle Beach, and to your military reunion connection. And we met with 18 groups. One person is a third party for 52 reunions. We thought it went very well. Some of the things that we heard a lot that they want is shuttles to and from the airport, transportations. Also, other CVBs are offering money incentives to come. So they'll do $500, and that $500 could be spent towards their catering or towards their hotel. And then Kevin also made us a wonderful video, which we have on our webpage, and I'm having put on the YMRC page. And then it's something me and Kristen can very much promote with. So it was a great video of outlining kind of why to come. I think we had a great sales pitch. I'm quite happy with it.
I'm sure you did. Can I ask a question? And I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but you were talking about they would like to have transportation. And this is just a question, so nobody throw a dart at me. The city buses, are they available, or could they be available for this type of activity?
As you know, we put a proposal together to, that the authority approved, that would try to work out some tours, and it involved the Jacksonville Transit transferring 2 buses that go off service to the authority or some entity. You know, none of that's been worked out, but that those buses would be reserved for some uses that we might have. Some recreation has eyes on some of them, you know, and we could use some of them for things such as this. We've had trouble finding transportation alternatives at the scales that we have wanted to do here.
Okay.
And so
Just a thought.
that's just a deal there. You folks, there's been, you know, 2 buses that you approved in this year's fiscal capital improvement plan.
Well, I know everything would have to be approved by the council. I was just wondering if there were any holdbacks from the system itself that would prevent that from happening.
You cannot use the FTA money to do things such as that. Those, when the federal money is still attached to the bus, it cannot be used for charter service
Okay. Well, that's.
in any way,
yeah.
shape, or form.
Okay, well, that kind of answers that question.
I do want to point out that's on the screen, the reunion connection that's been joined by the organization, and notable on there is their top reunion destinations, and putting Jacksonville in there. So this is the emphasis that have been made from, you know, the work that's been done on this project. So those are good things.
Very good. It's always nice to see Jacksonville, North Carolina on a list.
Yes.
Some
good.
list, yes.
No, let me rephrase
We'll
that.
just go.
It's good to see him on a good list.
When's Mike coming back?
Obviously not soon enough. Okay, strategic review.
We have there is some work in progress. What this was that we had talked about spending some money on empirical. You'll recall that we had Judy Randall come and talk about exactly who's staying in our hotels and things like that. And so we had some conversations with our chamber friends about, you know, doing something more like an intercept study and some things like that. We kind of put that on hold while we were doing all this other stuff as it was, but we're going to be reviving that here shortly before the end of the fiscal year. Among other things, yes.
Among other things. All right, status and partner reports, work by the Jacksonville-Onslow Sports Commission. Scott?
Yes, sir. I'd like to point out that it looks like Kristen got a little more sun than Lisa in Myrtle Beach, for whatever that's worth. So, I don't know.
That's just natural.
Lisa doesn't tan that.
So, this weekend, we have the Marine Chevy Quick Stick Lacrosse Invitational, and we have 29 teams that will be participating in that. We maxed out on girls' teams, 16 teams. We missed the boys maxing out by 3 teams, so great turnout for that. We also have a free clinic that Saturday morning at 8 a.m. that's offered up at no charge to the community as well, so we'll see what the turnout for that event will be, but it's supposed to be sunny and 80, so that should be a great day.
And where's that going to be held?
That's out at OCSA Tabernacle. And then the very next weekend, same location, we have the Bojangles Battle at the Beach girls high school soccer, and 36 teams. They'll be playing at high schools on Friday night and then all move to the Tabernacle Complex on Saturday. And so at our next meeting, you'll have some event reports on those. Also, in April, back-to-back nights, as you are aware, we have our Coastal Bank and Trust Sports Hall of Fame. You authority members should have received a letter. We appreciate all that you do and offering you guys a complimentary ticket to that event. And then because of limited space and because of that being a fundraiser for us, we also offered you an additional ticket at cost. So just please let us know if you want to take advantage of that. I can't remember if we talked about this last time, but our inductees this year are Leon Spinks, Pete Shepard Easton, Jennifer Palante, and Mr. E.R. Mason. So four great folks going in. And then the very next night, we have our Marine Chevy Freedom Fight boxing event at Jacksonville High School. As part of that, we have in our VIP area taking photos and signing autographs and doing those things. 2 former gold medal winners and heavyweight champions, Leon Spinks and Ray Mercer, will be there. So excited about that. So look for more information on that and help us spread the word to sell tickets. The other 2 quick things I'll share with you. kind of at the request of this group, we've been working with the Onslow Community Outreach to create a softball tournament during their Oktoberfest. And we've got some great things happening there. We have run into a little snag on the date being available at the Commons. There was a mix-up on which date was requested by our USSSA lady. So we're trying to get that worked out. But it could potentially be a great event as part of their Oktoberfest. The other thing that I'll tell you is, as you all know, in this day and age, whether fair or not, we're kind of judged by our websites and our social media pages and those sort of things. And one of the first things when I came on board is I thought our website was not the best, and especially the mobile version. So we presented to our board this morning a new website, and so that we'll launch that next week. Just much more vibrant, lots of information compared to the old site for folks to find. We also, our website is currently josc-nc.com. That is not the best website to tell someone or to try to remember if you see it on a billboard. And all of our other handles are Play JOSC. So we're purchasing that domain, and everything, all the sites will be redirected to the one site. But Play JOSC is what we'll use in the future. We're not going to print new letterhead or business cards, but when they run out, we'll change that because it's going to point to it anyway. But just so you guys know to give us some better visibility there.
Thank you, Scott. Good report.
Yes, sir.
I'd just like, as a side comment, it's interesting to me that our Hall of Fame, the Onslow Jacksonville Hall of Fame, is now going to have 2 gold medal winners in it. Jackie Humphrey, a member of our first class, and then Leon Spinks. That's quite an accomplishment for a community our size. So good job. All right, moving along. Kristen, you're up next.
For the record, the weather was really bad in Myrtle Beach. It was foggy and rainy. This is just my beautiful natural color, I guess. Besides, the 2 ladies beside me have given half of what I've done this month. Just, I guess, of note for y'all, Glinda mentioned that the county tourism events grant is out, as well as the capital one, but you can find those on the county's website. We are going to be collecting the county event grants for them, and Lorette and I are helping anybody who needs any sort of assistance in filling it out and what could help make their grant stand out a little more than others. And then we will be handing it over, and they get to go through it from that point. But we are collecting them, and you can find those on the county website. So everybody heard. Right now, we're basically reviewing marketing initiatives for the next fiscal year. It's about that time of year when you have to start looking at all that and start thinking budget and everything. And then besides the rest of the conferences that are coming up, want to note, of course, is Visit and See 365, which will be next week.
We leave
I
next
believe.
Sunday.
We do. We leave next Sunday. Sorry. My days are all kind of getting on top of each other. And I have signed up for the public relations roundtables again. And so myself and the lovely Miss Susan will attack them this time. So they better watch out.
I've been replaced.
Hey, that was Susan, not me.
And I'm going to that as well, so I'll make sure she's not out by the pool.
Thanks,
We're going to
Scott.
review your tan when you come back. Okay, thank you very much, Kristen. And I think your tan looks fine, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Wherever you
Thank
receive
you.
it. Okay, authority matters, City of Jacksonville occupancy tax collections. We got charts and all
Yes,
this.
we do have charts and numbers and facts, oh my. The good thing is it's up 5% over the same time last year. I think that's and our hoteler and collection authority people might want to talk about what their experiences are. I will tell you there's some facilities that are still not reporting, but I want to give finance kudos because the deadline was Tuesday, and I had to freeze it at some point, so it was basically frozen at midday on Tuesday after the mail moved and got counted as it was. But there's still some that, when I checked this morning, that haven't yet reported, so they'll be having some penalties on theirs. But this is still a good number, thinking about what that is, because there's one pretty substantive size facility that has not reported, and that's interesting. But if you compare that to the county 2-year trend line, which we use for the highest and best, We are 4.7% over that number. And that's the green line that you see here. So, I mean, that's some good stuff there. So we're happy. That's our overall trending, not the individual months that are there. Because as you can see, the green line had, the darker blue is what FY17 is. Your current year FY18 is in the Carolina blue there. And the green line is the trending for back at that period of time. This was 2010, 2011. So we are exceeding that as it was. If I might just continue then, Mr. Chair, we are asking that you consider the dates for 2019 at this time. These are your dates that you have for this current calendar year. You know, we have simply used that same formula of meeting on the last Thursday of the month there, because you remember your collection day is on the 20th, as mentioned, and so we try to, you know, do something after that so you can have information. The one move of that is we made a move Thanksgiving. Now, you folks may decide that instead of us moving it up into November, you want to move it down into December. That's not a month that you normally meet on and meet in. So it's your choice. You do not have to adopt these dates today, but obviously the sooner that we have the list, the more we can just kind of, you know, push these dates on out there and reserve things and go from there.
Well, Glenn, since, you know, we're talking the future, I'd say let's go ahead and adopt the dates and we'll adjust as we need to.
You can always do that. Carmen Miracle, the clerk, and she adjusts many dates for many different organizations.
Now, I noticed that you have an April date in there. We normally don't meet on April. What's?
I have that we do. So, I mean.
Well, we're not meeting this April according to this schedule. Unless I'm missing.
Well, we've left that out.
So we are meeting in April. I didn't mean to embarrass anybody. I was just.
We made an error.
Yeah, it's budget stuff.
Oh, my gosh, really?
We made an error.
No problem.
When are we meeting in April?
The 26th.
Look at the screen.
It's plain to see right there. The 26th. Okay. Everybody make a note of it, April the 26th. Does anybody have any objections to moving these dates along? I mean, this, you know, if something comes up and we have to change, we'll change, but let's go ahead and move these dates along. Okay.
A motion and a second to adopt that list would really be appreciated.
Well, let's do that then. I'll entertain a motion to adopt those dates. All in favor, or?
So moved.
So moved, a second? Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? No opposed. Moving right along?
That's all we have at this time, sir.
Okay. Staff comments?
We don't have anything else.
Director's comments?
One city? No.
No, I didn't.
Wonderful.
Didn't get
Guess
that
what, guys?
A motion to adjourn.
1 hour. 1 hour. I want it noted. All right. Motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are finished.
I thought for 1 hour you might get a motion too.